Hello. Hi. Hi. Welcome back. Welcome back. We're here again despite my mind's best efforts. We're literally here again. I'm feeling very re-energized. I sat down earlier today to record and it just honestly was just kind of boof, like TBH. It was just not, it just was not. And I honestly, genuinely think it's because I may have been, no, not may have been, I definitely was disassociating. And I think that, I don't know, I think I was honestly coming off of the heels of about 48 hours of just solitude, dead ass. I don't know what sort of state I was in, but it was like a whole thing. So, anyway, that being said, feeling honestly, what brought me back was I was listening to some bonus content that I'm making, just bonus episodes, aka more content for myself, right? And I was laughing and I was just like, wait, there's, you just exist and you just were having so much fun once upon a time. And yeah, sometimes thinking about all of the fun you were having can make you sad, but I don't know. I think in this situation or in these circumstances, it just made me feel invigorated. And so, yeah, we're here. We're so back. That's how I'm feeling. So, welcome. This is another episode of Getting It Together. Man, yeah, and more honestly, more on that state that I was in. We'll get back to that. But first up on the docket, just because this is top of mind, and I don't I just feel, I don't know how I feel about this, but getting honest about my job hunt. So, for context, I guess, well, I mean, actually, as the story goes, and if you listened, if you have been listening, then you know that, whatever, lost my job, whatever, the whole 9 yards, moved back home. When I moved back home, I kind of stopped looking for jobs. Obviously, I was, depressed. And so, I mean, I guess, that just definitely did have something to do with it. And I had, completely stopped looking for jobs. And then finally in, I want to say the later part of that year, because I moved home at the beginning of summer, which, gosh, how annoying that I literally left my whole life behind right before summer. I dead ass could not even have a hot girl summer, but whatever. Actually, wait. No, yeah, no. I didn't have a hot girl summer. I had a fuck ass, Texas ass, depressed girl summer. But anyway, I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, now that I'm here thinking about it. But that being said, why was that being said, actually? To be honest. Wait, why was that being said? Oh, my job hunt. Okay, but what about it? Oh, yeah. Okay, so in October, I sorry y'all, and see how this self-diagnosed ADHD just actually works. But anyway, conversation for another time, I guess. Point is, I found a part-time job in October. I think early fall, maybe September even, and actually it was definitely September, August. And it was, I don't know, it was great. It lifted me out of the trenches, and I think certainly brought a lot of light to my life in a time where I had no sense of routine, no sense of just anything. So I am really grateful to it for that. But then And honestly, and I had that and I was like content to just do that and kind of try and figure it out, which is what I quote unquote called myself doing until, let's see, January, February, like March, April. I'm like me thinking through the entire year, like January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Literally, like I just quit that job like earlier this year in July. Because then my summer was just like packed because it was a working girl summer and I was just doing a lot of like work with my nonprofit and like just like doing a lot of different things and I felt like I just couldn't commit time to that job, which was not super fair because they needed people who had time and I just didn't have time. So yeah, I ended up leaving that job, but that entire time that I was in that job, I sort of just wasn't looking for jobs, quote unquote. I was not on my resume building grind. I was not on my like cover letter grind. Honestly, I think after the months, those final months that I had in California, I was just so what's that word? Burned out from me, what's that word? Girl, burnout, right. I was so burnt out though from my job hunt. Like, how unserious. I said, what's that word? Bitch, like, don't piss me off. Anyway, I was so burnt out from my job hunt that I I just ended up quitting, to be honest. Like I quit the job hunt. Like yeah, I did. Sorry. And if you're someone who's been on a job hunt for an extended period of time, then you understand how easily it gets discouraging and how easily it gets like really annoying and how easily it is to kind of just fall off, especially when you are in a state of just receiving constant rejection. Like, I don't know, after so many attempts and like so much trying and failing with literally no movement, no reward, like nothing, it just kind of starts to feel irritating. It's like, why am I messing with this when I literally have other things to be doing? You know what I mean? And obviously, like, I'm in a very specific position. So, like, that much is obvious. And I'm just only really talking about the context in which, you know what I mean? But I think it definitely gets really exhausting and really discouraging fast, especially if you're someone who makes looking for a job your full-time job, like which for me it was, then yeah, it's just not fun. So this week, fast forward, didn't really look for jobs, was not on a serious job hunting grind. Cool. Right, whatever. Like I've been kind of doing my own work and just like figuring things out, and that's like cool or fine. Left my part-time job. Right. Great. So fast forward to I want to say like late summer, which I guess summer's just ended in September. So I want to say like late summer, I kind of made a passive decision that I was going to actively try to re enter the corporate workforce. Because I also think for a long time, I had no idea if I wanted to go back to corporate work. Like, it was just not my plan to go back to corporate work. That was just not something that I had a super strong interest in. And I think that, I don't know, it just didn't seem to serve, not even like just outside of the context of like me even being able to make the choice of like, I don't know that I want to return to the corporate workforce. Like outside of that, just in general, I don't know that it served my greater journey because at the end of the day, like what I want to be is an artist. You know what I mean? Like I want to be a writer, I want to be a producer, I want to be someone who is making things. And I just don't know or didn't know, or I'm still kind of trying to figure out if re entering the corporate sphere serves that or how I can learn new things or like utilize that skill set or like I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. But late summer came and I kind of decided that I wanted to re enter the workforce. I was working with a mentor at the time and she was like, here's some avenues that maybe you haven't explored. And then I also like had spoken to a family friend, honestly, and she was telling me just more about how you can, she's like, she was basically saying something along the lines of like, if I was your age and I just had like the talent and the ability to do both, aka have a corporate job and work that like 9 to 5 schedule real bad, and then also do art full time pretty much and like figure it out and community build full time and like pour essentially 80 hours a week into developing all of these things and like relationships and this and that and the other and like barely sleep, like I would do it. Which, like, not bad advice, but not like great advice. But I heard her. I mean, like, okay, because why did I even bring that up? Not bad advice, but not great advice. However, when she said that, I was like, okay, I feel like I actually, after being away from that sort of working environment for so long, maybe now I'm in a place where I'm more ready to think about what it would look like to manage a 40-hour work week schedule, whether in person or remotely, and then also balance the things that I want. Because I also think that now I have such a, like, a much clearer vision of what I want. And I think that when you're like bogged down in a job and you are like deep in a job, especially a job that you don't necessarily love, it's kind of easy to lose track of how you want to be spending your time and what you want to be doing, because you get into this pattern where you're like working and then you're overworking and then you're exhausted because you're doing something that you don't want to be doing, and then you, because you're overworked, every time you have time off you just want to chill. And I get that struggle too, and because that's like the sort of working environment that I was in for so long, just like working and overworking. And then every time I had a minute to myself, I was like, actually, I just literally want to lay on my back and stare at the ceiling and like, I don't know, lay on my back and stare at the ceiling dead ass. Like, I don't know. But I think being out of that environment kind of made it easier for me to get some clarification on how it is that I wanted to be spending my time. And I think with that in mind, it's much easier to talk about the possibility of like going back into the corporate workforce. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's where we are now. I recently decided that I was going to try to do that. Okay, great. So, obviously, like that means applying for jobs like with a quote unquote, I say, renewed vigor. And like, no, because like really actually like quote unquote, because I don't be doing that shit for real, but allegedly that's like making that decision leads to having this new seriousness with which you pursue having a job. So great. So I've been like kind of putting in and like sending things here and there, like again, quote unquote, because it feels very unserious, I think, compared to the way that I was applying to jobs before. But also, when I think about it, applying to jobs like in that way seems kind of crazy, like, and just kind of toxic. And I feel like that's another conversation that could be had about just like the way that we're trained to so desperately chase something that we don't even really know if we want half of the time. Like, even like thinking about this situation and thinking about how I'm still not fully sure that I want to enter the workforce, but I am fully sure that I maybe could learn from like being in a corporate environment, or like maybe could benefit from being able to have like lived experiences with my finances, like getting settled. You know what I mean? Like the bills need to be paid. And actually, because of this, like what's happening in the current administration, which we are going to get to the political and economic state of the world. Trust. Like, that's quite literally on the docket for today. But before we get there, like, again, my student loans, like, babe, they're collecting interest starting literally, I think, August. So that's like kind of happening, and then there's just some unpaid credit cards and like some, stuff. Like, some stuff is going on, okay? Because stuff goes on, and that's fine. But I need money. I need money to live. So it's even like having to battle the internal battle of like, okay, well, do I want a job or do I want money? Like, I've been having to ask myself that. Like, and I came to the conclusion that, okay, I'm only really going to apply to jobs that I actually want and I'm actually interested in, and that, like, I feel like actually serve my long term goals and my greater interests. Amazing. I made this decision. I said it out loud. Now we're fast forwarding to like why I'm like frustrated today, because I don't know. This feels like, I know I'm always calling things like a 13th reason. And honestly, we're gonna actually like rehabilitate out of saying that, or like away from saying that. But I so in this like renewed search, I've been putting in with a lot of, what are they, not like yes, like staffing agencies, I guess I could say, but there's maybe another way to say that. Not like, well, okay, whatever. Like a creative, like creative staffing agencies that essentially match creatives with jobs. Great. So great, so awesome, so fun. Whatever. Also, I could be getting scammed, which is a whole other thing, because okay, actually, let me just tell you guys what happened, and then someone can tell me if it sounds like a scam or not. But it seems really legit, so I don't know. Anyway, so basically, I got an email a few days ago, and I've gotten emails like this before, which is why I'm like, okay, like, this is legitimate, because I've gotten emails like this before. And also, like, I'm in a season where I'm literally like putting in for these creative agencies and putting in like for this whatever. Like, I'm having this whole situation where I'm looking for jobs. So I am, in a sense, making myself vulnerable to, I guess, things like this question mark. Don't know what that even means, to be honest. But again, I got an email a few days ago, and they're like, "Hi, like, we're reaching out on behalf of this company. Like, we would really like to set up." No, it was like, "Hi, like, we're reaching out on behalf of this company, and this is the team, and this is the position, and we think, given like your job profile and like your blase blah, that you would be a great match." I'm like, "Okay, cool, amazing, super fabulous." But I don't know, it seemed kind of strange just because I couldn't remember putting in at this agency. But then when I thought about it, like when I looked them up, everyone was like, "Oh yeah, like they're super legit." So one, they were like, they're super legit. Two, I like went to their website, and it went to their website. Like, I clicked the link that they sent me. I know we don't ever click links. Like, I know. Okay? In a bonus episode, I think I literally talk about how I like notoriously fall for scams. So whatever, I clicked the link, and it took me to their website, like to schedule this call or whatever, and then like clicked on the icon, and it took me to their actual website. So again, seems question mark like legit, I don't know. And I like looked at Reddit, because I fact check with Reddit, and like I post check and get all of my second opinions, honestly, from Reddit, because I feel like it's a reliable source of second opinions. And I don't know, like, that's just my bias. But I looked on Reddit, and they were like, "No, super serious, like, these people are legit, blase blase blah." I looked up like if there was a scam involving them, like nothing came up. So I'm thinking it's golden. Again, I already have to do this anytime I do anything, because like I said, I be falling for it. I don't know. Unfortunately, I'm going to click a link. I'm going to enter some random information. Cuz I be moving fast, and I don't be reading shit for real. You know what I mean? So that's my bad. But no, like, that's my bad. And I am working on it, and I think I have been literally fooled 3 times, and like fuck the peace sign, load the chopper, let it rain. Like, I have been fucked up enough to proceed with caution, okay? So maybe I don't fall for them like so often anymore. But I do this whole process, this whole vetting process every single time I do anything because I'm fearful of getting scammed. Right. So I book on their like stupid, I don't even know, like their Calendly thing, which Calendly is also legitimate. So I'm like, what the heck? I book like whatever. They send the email and they're like, book a call, which I already like, side note, like think it's kind of problematic when people do the thing where they're like, please pick a time on my calendar to talk to me when I reached out to you. Like it just makes it feel like, I don't know, like you kind of see people as like just numbers and you're just getting through these time slots. Like it just doesn't feel very like thoughtful. And I think that with all of my previous like job hunting experience, I've never had that. Like that's like some new shit that they're doing that I don't necessarily know if I jive with because again, it just feels very like disconnected and like you reached out to me apparently because like you think I'm a great fit for something, but now you want me to choose from 10 time slots in your calendar where with like in an email. Like it just makes it feel like you sent the email to 10 other people. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe there's like a recruiter somewhere who has an opinion on that or who like can say that that makes their life like way easier or whatever, but yeah, I don't know. Already was like feeling a way about that, feeling just weird about it, I guess. And then I did the thing, filled out the thing, and they were like, okay, great, like we sent you a link. This is how these things work, so I'm not feeling any way about it because I think that this is how these things work. Like I've done it before, especially in recent months. Like I've had a few interviews this year, literally a few, not even to get carried away, just a handful. And like that's how it works, whatever. But like I never got the email and then never got the email. The time for the meeting comes and the meeting never happens. Like, so I send an email and I'm just like, hey, or no, I send an email and then I message the woman on LinkedIn who I'm supposed to be meeting with because she shows up as like a legitimate profile on LinkedIn. And I'm just like, hey, like, I think we were supposed to talk about this role, like would love to connect and like chat more about it or whatever, like LinkedIn vernacular or whatever, I don't know. Nothing. Okay, email, nothing. But then they send me another email today and they're like, hey, like touching base to see if this is something that you're still interested in on behalf of the team at blah 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 blah. Whatever. But it's like, you guys, like, is it spam? Like, it's literally just feeling scammy now because it's like I tried to literally get in touch with y'all. Also, I did reschedule on this Calendly shit again, which, now that I think about it, actually, because hold on. Because actually, it was actually, okay, it was kind of weird because, wait, I'm actually gonna get on the internet because wait, like it's actually kind of, it was a little strange because when I think about it, it gave me a thing that was like the best way to connect. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wait. Because I could be finding, oh my gosh, and I could be finding out that I'm like got scammed in real time. Like, you guys, wait, because see what I mean? And how annoying and like sad is it actually that, no, like, okay, wait, actually, before I even go on a dissertation, I'm gonna do a pause for research, so I'll be back momentarily. Okay, okay. So we're back, and you guys, hey, you wouldn't even believe it. You wouldn't even believe it. But this, okay, and this is literally what I'm talking about because why the fuck? Like, why are we getting preyed on? That shit was so elaborate. So, if you haven't caught on in like these 5 seconds, obviously that shit was a fucking scam. A fucking scam, which is really annoying because I don't know. Like, it's just annoying. One, because I certainly messaged this woman on LinkedIn. But two, because it's just annoying getting scammed. And honestly, I should have known. Okay. And I don't want to hear anything about this. And if you know me, I don't want to hear anything about anything. But I should have known when I logged into Facebook this morning, and that shit had like a notification, and it literally said, someone tried to log into your account, but don't worry, we stopped them. Like, oh my gosh. Because I literally think I was in the process of saying how weird this shit was, that it like made me sign into Calendly through Facebook. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But again, I thought I did my due diligence. I thought I did my research. I'm thinking, like, okay, sure, it's a little strange, but you know what? This is some new shit. I already think it's strange to have people, quote unquote, pick a time on your calendar to meet, okay? So I guess I'm not the trusted authority on like what job hunting things are strange, like what new age job hunting things are strange and what new age job hunting things aren't strange. However, how was I supposed to know that? Okay, in retrospect, sure, but seriously speaking, you get a fucking email, you do all your fucking research, and honestly, another thing that really irritates me about this whole situation is that like I'm already in a place where I've like trained myself not to get my hopes up. You know what I mean? Like I have trained myself to be just like on edge and like sus of things like this when they happen. Because not that I've been job scammed before. This is a first. Okay, this is a first. Someone did try to take my Facebook profile. And that's fine. And now it's not letting me change my Facebook password. But that's another conversation for another day. I'm not that attached to Facebook, so like seriously, it's fine. It's whatever. But yeah, just like so damn. And you know what? I did that shit twice. I did do that shit twice. I'm not even gonna hold you. Because I thought that something was wrong with the scheduling the first time. And so I went back and I rescheduled. And I should have, honestly, as I'm sitting here processing it in real time, I should have known because her calendar had like full availability, and I'm like, what kind of working person's calendar has full availability? But then I'm also thinking, well, if your job is a recruiter, I'm guessing that you're doing shit like this all day, because again, I've dealt with this thing before where you are meant to like go into somebody's calendar and do your shit, so whatever. So do we see why it's annoying now? Like, are we seeing like why it's so fucking irritating dealing with this unemployment shit? Like, seriously speaking, how infuriating. Seriously. Like, yeah, kind of hilarious, but like actually, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Whatever. Mind you, that break that I just took to do that reconnaissance, that was about 10 minutes. It did actually take me about 10 minutes. I did try to change my password in the process and didn't work, so whatever. Whatever. That shit is so annoying. I cannot believe I just got job scammed like in 4K. Like, what the fuck? So, all of that being said, I am entering my job search with like a renewed passion. I actually decided that I'm going to start cold emailing because I feel like that's really all that I can trust. Like, I've cold emailed before and like, yeah, like usually you don't get anything with it, but whatever. I don't know. Like, I'm literally tired of dealing with this, like, shit like this. And not even that, like, I've dealt with that much shit like this where job hunting is involved, but I think the fact that it's already, like, a fragile thing and I got scammed for my Facebook login, like, are you kidding me? That just kind of feels I don't know. Something about that feels kind of extra sinister and just a little bit more hateful than the job industry already does. Like, and when I say the job industry already feels hateful, I kind of just mean in the sense that, like, I hella wrote this original ass cover letter for you and you didn't even read it type shit. Like, you dead ass sent me an automated email saying, like, thank you for your time, but you didn't even take your time, so now what? But whatever, like, it's cool. It's cool because, again, we're entering with a renewed vigor, and I'm going to start cold emailing, and I'm going to start actually applying and actually doing my whole little, like, catered resume song and, like, catered resume dance, and hopefully going in with an open mind and an open heart. That is enough. Like, hopefully going in with an open mind and an open heart is enough. And just the fact that I am going in just open, and I am going in also with the intention of only applying for things that I really, really want. I'm hoping that that honesty and, like, that desire comes through, and that just works in my favor. So, yeah, stay tuned on that. Anyway, on to, and okay, I actually decided, like, over the weekend, because I was chatting with a friend of mine, and she said, because what I actually even got on here to talk about, renewed job search was just a digression, because really, actually, what I got on here to talk about was my whole disassociative state that I just, like, experienced. But in the midst of that, I was chatting with a friend, and she suggested putting, also, if you texted me this weekend or in the past, like, 4 or 5 days, if it seems like there was a period of time where I was unresponsive, apologies to all of the girlies that are hearing this that are on my phone. Like, just know that I love you. But yeah, I was going through it, and I'll tell you why I was going through. I will tell you why I was going through it. But before that, I actually did want to say briefly. What did I want to say? What did I want to say briefly? Yes. So I decided that I was gonna reformat these to put the obsessions of the week at the top, because I'm a content girl, like, or not content, because content in this day and age is just an entirely different thing than what I'm talking about. But, like, I'm like a media person, like, which I believe I've said before, like film, TV, anime, books, like, whatever, and, like, music, like, whatever. And those are actually things that I could talk about aggressively for a long ass time. But I was talking to my friend, and she was like, what if you put your obsessions at the top of the episode and then did Man Crush Monday and Woman Crush Wednesday at the tail of the episode? So, in honor of her, I'm going to go forth with obsessions, and then we'll get into oppression, question mark, I guess. Like, I don't know. Like, talk about, anyway, because, yeah, like, talk about the political and economic state of the world, I guess. But yeah, okay. But really quickly, quick digression. Obsessions for the week. Okay. So, unrelated, because there are, like, obsessions that are related to this next conversation, but we're going to let those be a part of that conversation. Unrelated to that, I've recently started watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because I've, like, been itching for something that's just kind of, like, spooky, but, like, spooky, yes, but, like, kind of maybe in a camp way. I don't really know. But watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like, the original version, for the first time ever, and that shit is so tea. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because, like, they was really doing, like, special effects makeup down, like, literally, like, prosthetics on face, like, none of that CG shit. It was so real. It was so scary. They looked real monstrous, and I don't know. I'm loving it, and, like, the outfits are kind of, like, just everything about it is kind of tea. So, yeah. Buffy the Vampire Slayer from the 90s. If there's anything problematic relating to that show, or, like, anybody who created that show, or, like, whatever the situation is, and it's like it was like a huge blown up controversy, just know that I don't know about it, because I just started watching the shit just right now. So anything that happened before maybe a month ago, like, don't know it, don't care, honestly, TBH. Because I feel like that residual check from Hulu is not giving, like, enough for me to be doing too much about it. So yeah, Buffy. Oh my gosh, the Wallflower. So I started watching this anime called The Wallflower, and okay, like sure, and for anyone who knows or has seen it, like great, and for anyone who's, I don't know, this one's kind of weird, and most anime, like anime is usually on some weird shit, but this one, it's just, I just don't understand the vibe. Like it's literally the whole premise first and foremost, and this honestly, like the 90s was crazy, and like the early 2000s was crazy, but they were, I feel like in my opinion, they were batting 1,000. Like when it came to things just being so out of line that they were just so fucking funny, no one was doing it like they were doing it pre like wokeness of it all, like and pre cancel culture of it all. Like I don't give a fuck. And honestly, like this show literally, like similarly to Sex in the City, I should say. And honestly, like Sex in the City might even be a little bit in terms of like problematicness or like problematic commentary. First of all, okay, actually the premise of the show is that there's these four boys living in a mansion with an ugly girl. And their whole job, the whole premise is to like unugly her. Right. And like sorry, but that's fucking funny. And she has like there are just moments in it where I'm like, how? Like how did you guys decide that this was okay? And I get it. No, like I get it actually because again, love Sex in the City. Like that's my shit. So I get it. Like cuz that shit is funny too. Sorry, like without all of the filtration of like what modern television has to go through now in terms of like dealing with like cancel, like what writers and television writers and actors and like people who are saying and performing things in that way and like replicating the human experience. The problem with replicating the human experience within the parameters of cancel culture is that you can't exactly replicate the human experience. Like if you're trying to be safe and considerate of those things. Why? Because the human experience doesn't entail like this like high gloss filter all over everything that kind of prevents people's like authentic thoughts from being said. Like we actually hear authentic thoughts every day, but we don't fucking see that shit on TV because like maybe it's problematic. You know what I mean? Like so, and that's what I mean by that. So nobody take that, please, and make a think piece about why like you deserve to be a dickhead, because that's not the point. The point is though, like when it comes to media and like commenting on things, oh my gosh, which speaking of this, like Buffy, there was this crazy ass scene in Buffy where so there's like a popular girl, her name is Cordelia, and her and Buffy are like talking outside, and Cordelia, like this black girl walks by. Oh my gosh. And you guys, like again, fucked up that someone was like, yeah, this is so real, like this is good material. But like this black girl walks by and Cordelia literally goes, Chantrice, is that your real hair? And she like said it with like genuine like earnest interest, like it wasn't even like a gag or a bit. Isn't that fucking crazy? So but it's like shit like that, I'm like that is authentic to the human experience. And like, yeah, is it like a little bit problematic just in the sense that and within the context? Sure. But seriously speaking, fucking people say shit like that all the time in real life. Like, sorry, like people actually say shit like that all the time in real life. So anyway, back to this show, The Wallflower, because that's like a whole other conversation again. The other, and actually, that's a conversation for another day, but I actually was recently introduced to the concept of the what's that shit called? Because I wrote it down. Oh, the panopticon effect, which don't know if anyone knows what that is, but look into it. Apparently, the panopticon, and this is a brief digression, let me just say out loud what I want to get back to. The wallflower, the premise of the show, oppression, right? So, before we get onto that, we're talking about wokeness, right? And like cancel culture and like just how like that kind of affects the authenticity of our media because like we're having these real actual experiences that are not portrayed or like quote unquote not like put honestly into things because maybe they're problematic or like whatever, even though it's like really shit that really happens. Point is, and that's obviously a more nuanced conversation, so if you want to take it out of context, like please, like fine, but it's obvious that it's a more nuanced conversation. I don't feel like it's necessary to over explain the context in which that I'm saying these things. But the panopticon effect actually talks about how basically because we've like self-created this surveillance state through social media, like yeah, we don't have CCTV, but we almost have something worse, which is like an entire population that's like afraid to act or behave in any sort of normal or natural way, or even like in this case, for example, like pose questions or like make comments, but especially with posing questions, like even, and this again, this is annoying and problematic, but even something like, is that your real hair? Like maybe from like someone who's not black to someone who's black, and like that just being something that's a curiosity, and how like we've just radicalized that whole situation and dynamic so much that it can be taken out of context so quickly and can be weaponized. Like people aren't even expressing like less than that anymore. Like not that that's the most expressible thing, like I get it, but like people are expressing even less than that, which I think it's interesting because I obviously do think that in a sense we kind of have created our own surveillance state through social media. Like it's just giving like, yeah, like we make fun of countries where they're like CCTV, but it's like we have literally people recording like the worker with an attitude at McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like as if a bitch can't have a bad day. But that's neither here nor there. Point is, look into the panopticon effect. The panopticon itself is like a prison design, and that's also like a separate, also very interesting thing. That's also a separate, very interesting thing, but because I know I get long winded and I know if I talk about it, I'll go into a whole thing, I'm just going to stop it there and say, look into it because it's very interesting. And it's essentially a system where, like, prisoners can't tell if they're being watched, so they act right. That's, like, the point of the design. Wait, my cousin just called me on FaceTime, and I don't know if it, like, rang. But wait, one sec. Okay, sorry. Had to like check in with her and make sure it wasn't an emergency, which I didn't do, but I did text her. So we'll see. I guess we'll see the text come through if it is an emergency. In which case we're gonna have to just cut it. But Panopticon, super interesting. The wallflower and how fucking funny this shit is, and this whole premise being about like this girl being ugly, and like how the things that they say, again, it's just giving like, who gave you permission to do this and say this? Like that's kind of just what it's giving. And like for example, I think like and also the men, okay, so this whole premise being that this girl like moves into this house with these four teenage boys and she's a teenage girl, already kind of crazy, okay? Like literally already kind of crazy. She moves into this house. The men that she's dealing with are literally not shit. Like they're literally not shit. And I actually have like a side comment because something else that really irritated me this week in my lived experience was actually noticing how the men in my city, in this city of Austin, Texas, are also kind of not, like, they're also kind of not shit. Like, that's a whole other side note because men in Austin are like so cooked, it feels like. And I don't know if it's because it's like, again, another digression, but I don't know if it's because it's like there's an influx of transplants or if it's because I'm a woman of color. Like, maybe a non-woman of color can clarify, but literally, like, they're just rude. Like, they're just like, actually like anti-gentleman. And I don't know, like they have no decorum, they have no couth. They literally treat you like you're a fucking light post unless you're like thin, tall, blonde. Like I don't know. It's just giving very, very weird. Weird, 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 rude as fuck. I actually want to square up with you energy. And of course, quote unquote, like not all men. Hate that I even have to clarify, but like the men in Austin, like, whoa. Like it's weird. And if I get into that anecdote, like again, that'll be a whole other thing. And I know myself and I know I'm long winded, so I won't even go there. But like, y'all was really getting on my nerves this week. And I'm like, I don't know if I've just been blind to this or what, but not cute. The behavior was not cute. So anyway, this girl is dealing with these four fucking anime boys in her fucking house, and they're literally not shit. Like, just to like give y'all an example of like how they were clowning, she shows up. They like scream in horror when they see her. She like turns, they see her face. They're like crying, and they're like, she has a unibrow and her skin is so bad. Like she has like, they literally show her having like acne on her face, and these boys are literally crying, and they're like, oh my gosh, her skin is awful, in tears. And they're like, and I'm like, you guys, this is the origin of bullying. Like is just one of the many reasons why we are cooked. Like why is that? Like why they just went so hard. And then they'll say shit like there was an episode, cuz I'm like 10 episodes in now. I'm not even going to hold you, like I've been watching that shit. But there was an episode where this man from like this like gang leader from like another school shows up, cuz they're all in high school, and he is like, I'll fight you for her hand, like talking to one of the guys that she literally lives with, so one of her roommates, and you would think like her friend. And he's like, I will fight you, like for the honor of this woman. And he looks at her and then like looks at this other dude, the one who lives with her, and laughs out loud and is like, you think I would fight for that? I'm not interested. And literally walks away. I'm like, guys, there's cruel and unusual, and then there's cruel and unusual punishment. And it was giving like cruel and unusual punishment. So I don't know. Was it crazy as hell? Yes. But is that shit hilarious? Also, yes. So yeah, obsessed with the wallflower this week. Get it where you get your anime. Wink wink, like wherever you get your anime, because apparently Crunchyroll is also like cooked. So yeah. And then Weathering with You on HBO Max, another anime thing, but sorry, like it's just my shit. But this movie, while it wasn't super strong, like in terms of plot, I will say, but it just like every single frame was literally like a painting, like so gorgeous, like. And I think overarchingly, like the overarching themes were very beautiful, but it just wasn't like super engaging. Like the plot was kind of weird, but yeah, super gorgeous. If you just want to put something on for comfort, honestly, and just see some really amazing super gorgeous animation, would recommend Weathering with You. So yeah, now onto my obsessions that led me to my weird moment that I had. Basically, so I saw Hozier like last week or something like that, because he's in Austin for ACL. And for additional context, I kind of on like a sometimes basis get free wristbands to ACL because like my dad has like some like work connection to the event. So he texts me on, I think like Thursday, literally Thursday of this, whatever week this was, and is like, hey, like 2 free tickets to ACL this Friday. Do you want to go? And I'm like, yeah, this happens like pretty much every year. Like it's pretty reliable. So I will say, like, that's like ACL is already my shit. But I obviously was like, Hozier is playing and I would love to see Hozier. And I already, I will say, like, I already love Hozier, but I just didn't know. I don't know what I was thinking, but I know what I didn't know, and it was that he was just what he was. Like, I don't know, you guys. Like, so saw him on Friday, dragged my friend with me, like, shout out Ecom, like, cause she just had to go. Like, she had to. I mean, actually, no, I would have gone by myself, but like, shout out her for coming because you know what? I didn't have to go by myself, so period. But we pull up to Hozier and I just don't even know. Like, I can't even explain why. I already am like highly sensitive to talented people. Like, talent, especially creative talent, just makes me emotional already. Like, that just, like, yeah, that shit already makes me emotional. So, like, I don't know. Like the first, he like literally sang the first note, and I felt literally like from my toes to the top of my head, like I was filled with like a full body, like I was just engrossed. Like I was like wrapped up in his voice. It was crazy. It was just crazy. It was so good. But I say all of that to say, well, so actually, yeah, Obsession 1, Hozier. I say all of that to say there was a moment during his set, and obviously, like, again, I'm already emotional because I'm hearing and feeling in my spirit, like, this man singing. But then there was a song, it was Nina Cries Power, I think. I'm, like, pretty sure. I don't remember the sound of it because I was so in it, but I know that on the backdrop, one of the words was Nina. And that leads me to believe that it was during this song. Because again, I don't remember hearing it. I just remember taking in all the information because the other thing that made that experience so like weird and just like intense and kind of emotional was he had like he like obviously like I didn't know that he did this, but he takes time during this song to kind of bring attention to just things that are happening in the world that you might not know are happening in the world. So he's like posting like there was a backdrop, and essentially on his backdrop he had like all of these statistics for like billionaires and military spending and like stock prices for like military like companies that are producing nuclear weapons. Like he just had like all this shit up and was talking about Ireland, which I did know kind of vaguely that Ireland had like a history with colonialism, like being colonized and being fucking like and suffering under colonialism and like being enslaved and having like their culture and their culture like destroyed and like their land essentially raped and they're like just having like all of this again really feeling the effects of colonialism, which most countries have, but they obviously are like a really close neighbor to the empire, so that's something that was like right at their door. And I knew like vaguely about it, but he was talking about that and he was talking about like how like some part of that was inspired by like the Irish liberation, like like I guess finally like they recently were liberated. I don't even want to say too much on it because I don't want to misspeak, and I was also just like obviously having a meltdown. But he talked about that being inspired by like the civil rights movement and talked about civil rights and then talked about Palestine and then talked about anti-Semitism and then just talked about like freedom and like freedom fighters and like loving each other. And that shit, like I'll already just on a normal day, anytime any of the aforementioned topics come up, I'm already like in shambles. Like I won't say I'm clocked out, but it's just like it just is a lot on the spirit. And it's like when it's already like living kind of under your skin all the time, because if you're a person of color in the United States, but especially if you're a black person, like you don't need to be like reminded that there's like systemic racism in America, right? Like you literally don't need to be reminded. You don't need to like talk too much about it. You don't need to be told about it. You don't need to be shown any sort of suffering to understand that there is like suffering. Like it's like it just kind of is always like right there under the skin. And if you get what I'm talking about, then you get what I'm talking about. And if you don't, then that's okay too. Maybe that's a conversation for another day, but yeah, like he was talking about it and it was just bringing it up in me. And again, like I understand myself and I understand that that's one of my sensitivities. I also know that other people in my similar age group and in my similar situation are like very radicalized, and like I'm radicalized, but I'm sensitive to it. You know what I mean? And I especially was having a hard time, I think, during the set with the fact, like, he was just talking about fighting for freedom and the fact that, like, people have suffered and fought for, like, the rights that I currently enjoy and that, like, we all currently enjoy and that we also often kind of complain about, like, especially, like, under this current administration. But, like, I don't know, it just made me emotional for obvious reasons. So there was that. That happened. He put on a fabulous show. Outside of that, fabulous, spectacular performance. He was already like one of my bucket list like must see, and now I'm already knowing that I like will be seeing him again. So that's like neither here nor there. Like he'll be seeing me, I'll be seeing him. It'll be great. Love him. Man Crush Monday. Honestly, Man Crush Monday. But yeah, so that happened, right? Next day, I'm in a weird headspace. I cried at Hozier, right? But I'm already in a weird headspace. I go to see One Battle After Another by Paul Thomas Anderson, and not for really nothing, but that shit. First of all, it was so good. It was so good, and I really don't care like about the controversy surrounding it, because I feel like it's one of those things where people are going to be mad. Like people are always going to be mad, but and obviously like people are entitled to feel that way, and I know people feel already a certain way about like white filmmakers telling stories that feature any sort of like POC struggle. But it was really, really good and it was really well done. And I think it perfectly embodied like just what it looks like to be a part of a community that like suffers and even through suffering like shows up for one another, or like a community that experiences like inequality and in like it felt very like connected to the Hosier set and what he was talking about and civil rights and like showing up for your neighbors and being neighborly and like loving others and just like being a citizen of the world, because outside of like this whole individualistic like situation that we are currently in, we are just at the end of the day citizens of the world, and we like forget that. And then I think this movie was just so, there was especially like I just found especially compelling like my favorite part of the movie, and like maybe like tiny spoiler, if you haven't seen One Battle After Another and you're really excited about it and you plan on seeing it, then maybe like skip forward a little bit. But one of my favorite parts of the movie was the just like the whole like Mexican town and like the sensei, and like how he was so interconnected to that entire city and like that whole community, and just like how that whole situation went when they were like trying to escape the raid, and like it was just so good. And it again, it made me emotional because I was like, people really show up like this for each other. Like, this is real. Like, and I see this. Like, I see this in my community. People show up like this for each other. And the fact that they even have to, another thing that made me emotional, because then I was like, gosh, like, because sometimes, again, on a normal day, without consuming this sort of media, on a normal day, I will already like shed tears for real if someone's like, I really had to fight. Like, we had to fight to get him here, but they're here, you know? Like, just the thought that people have to fight for each other. Like, it's up to us to fight against like these powers and like these systems that are supposed to be protecting us, obviously is crushing. Like, that's just like not, that's just not. So whatever. Saw one battle after another. Again, would recommend. Obsessed. No notes, TBH. Loved it. Paul Thomas Anderson, I was not familiar with your game. Like, I actually am going to be watching more of you this weekend. So, yeah. So there was that. Then there was Hozier. Then I was like, you know what? At that point, I was already like starting to slowly clock out, which, okay, again, too much, like, was feeling just too much. And whenever I'm like feeling too much in that way, I'm like, okay, like, it's time to log out for real, that ass. So I was already like clocking out. I decide I'm gonna take a break. I pull out my Kindle. I love my Kindle. Like, first of all, it's pink and it's really cute and it's really like greatly decorated. Like, I love it. So it just already gives me a little bit of dopamine to like pull out the Kindle. Like, pulling out the Kindle for me is like opening TikTok for some people. So I pull out the Kindle and I'm like, ooh, like, I've been wanting to read The Poppy War. Okay. So if you know anything about anything, if you don't know anything, The Poppy War is a fantasy novel, a military like fantasy by R.F. Kuang that is literally, like, no surprises in the name, like, about a war. And that shit is fucking, I can't even, like, that shit is just crazy, honestly. And I should have known. I don't know why I was like, oh, I'm gonna escape all of the things that I'm feeling in the real world and like get into this book, literally a book about oppression and like diabolical, disgusting, grotesque, vivid war crimes and war and like more oppression and like more, like, it was literally, it was very good. Would also recommend it. But some girl on Goodreads like said some shit about like, don't read the trigger warnings, like, heed the trigger warnings before you do it. And I will say, like, I didn't know that there were fucking trigger warnings. Like, I didn't see that shit. But yeah, would absolutely go forth with that in mind. That being said, after the Poppy War, girl, like, it's no wonder I was disassociating. Like, that shit, it was just too much. And it was just too much of like, it felt like I was just in an echo chamber of like hyper awareness and like hyper realization of just like the state of the world, the state of humanity. Like, it's no fun doing that. So yeah, I was in a state. And so when I initially sat down to record like earlier today, I was saying shit and I'm sure my mouth was moving, and I honestly haven't even re-listened to it, but it just certainly did not feel like anything really. It just felt like I was yapping. But then, like, as the day went on, and then I had like my friend came over, shout out Jaleesa, and we went on a walk and we got rained on, which was great. It felt so good. I didn't have my phone or nothing on me. We both didn't have our phone actually. So we just walked outside and like got rained on and saw a double rainbow that was like clear and vivid, and saw like the full arch. And it was just a beautiful experience. It was just a beautiful experience. And like, yeah, people are suffering. But that just brought me back, because all I can do is live in within the life that I'm living and do what I can do in the life that I'm living. So, yeah, brought me back. But I don't know. And now I'm here. So, yeah, that was this week. It was kind of, it was just it was just a lot. It was kind of strange, but you know what? We made it. We prevailed, and we're over time. So, period on that. That being said, please like literally love thy neighbor and speak to someone in public and like, I don't know, like donate to something. I'm literally, unfortunately, always getting not robbed. I won't say robbed. I'm quick to donate to some shit on the street though. So, yeah. Sign up for some shit on the street. Give a homeless person a couple of dollars if you got it. If you don't got it, go buy them a water bottle and bring it back to them. Like you have an extra 5 minutes. And just be a citizen of the world and love other people who live in the world. And yeah, remember that people fought for rights. And when you're talking shit on the internet, like people also fought for your right to be able to talk shit on the internet. So show some really deep gratitude to the ancestors for that, especially my POC. Yeah. On that note, Man Crush Monday, really quickly. I know earlier I said Hozier. My actual Man Crush Monday is. Ooh, my actual Man Crush Monday. Love him. It's not even Monday, but loving him terribly. Young Mazzino. He was in Opus and he was in Beef with Steven Yeun, who actually is also like another man crush of mine, but he'll have his time on another day, like trust. But yeah, Young Mazzino, love him. Hope I'm not saying his name wrong. And then Woman Crush Wednesday is Io. Love her. She's on my vision board. Io Adebari. Hope I'm saying her name right. Loving her terribly. And then also Quinta, because I love Quinta too. And she's also on my vision board, and that's just what I'm looking at right now. Like, I'm just hella just saying what I'm saying. So, yeah, with that, love you, and thank you for listening. And I will see you next week.